chapter 56. For the leader, upon Yonath Elam Rehachim, a psalm of David, Miktom, when the Philistines took him in Gath. Be gracious unto me, O God, for man would swallow me up. All the day he fighting oppresses me. They that lie in wait for me would swallow me up all the day. For they are many that fight against me, O Most High. In the day that I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. In God I will praise his word. In God do I trust. I will not be afraid. What can flesh do unto me? All the day they trouble mine affairs. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They gather themselves together, they hide themselves, they mark my steps, according as they have waited for my soul. Because of iniquity, cast them out. In anger, bring down the peoples, O God. You have counted my wanderings. Put you my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? Then shall mine enemies turn back in the day that I call. This I know, that God is for me. In God I will praise his word. In the Lord I will praise his word. In God do I trust. I will not be afraid. What can man do unto me? Your vows are upon me, O God. I will render thank offerings unto you. For you have delivered my soul from death. Have you not delivered my feet from stumbling, that I may walk before God in the light of the living? All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Once again, for the leader. God is the leader. He is going out, and the king's following, and those are after him. We'll find that this is upon Yonath Elam Rehachim. I searched this out a little bit, and I got the translation that is given as probably the dove of silence in distant lands. And, that sounds beautiful. That sounds all great, but we would have to think that this would mean Yonah, and I just don't see that over here in the scriptures, but I'm not a scholar. But, I would think this would mean God's given, as Yonathan or Yonatan, in that sense of the word, instead of Yonach. So I would see this that God's given youthfulness in distant places, or God has got eternity set in a distant place. God has got this place of peace. God has got this place of forever. See, somewhere, and we can always go there. We can always go to God. That's where God's at in this. That peaceful understanding that God's going to deliver us from our trouble. God's going to deliver us from whatever position we're in, and we're going to find out at this time. David was taken. He was taken by the Philistines, and this is when they took him in Gath. I believe 1 Samuel chapter 21 might give a little reference to this story. When they brought him before Achish, and David profaned the madman, and Achish sent him out from before him. Miktam is that was engraved. It's carved. It's written. We do have the Psalms of David, as we're going to find out. There's a reference here in the book of God. Even the stories he knew he was going to be written into the Kings, into the Chronicles. We're going to go ahead and pick it up here in verse 2. Be gracious unto me, O God, for man would swallow me up. All the day he fighting oppresses me. Be gracious. So show some favor, Lord. And we find that the Lord does show favor to those that are correct, those that are just, those that are, we say, righteous before God, those that keep his ordinances and his statutes, that humble themselves before the Lord. We'll find out God is gracious to those, because man does try to swallow you up all the day. You're trying to do the right thing, and there's great wickedness in the earth, and they're just all the day They're fighting, their contention with each other, their oppression, this oppression they bring into the world. It oppresses me. I mean, it depresses me too, or mashes me down. 3. They that lie in wait for me would swallow me up all the day, for they are many that fight against me, O Most High. And they that lie in wait for me would swallow me up all the day. In other words, there's no end of it. Constantly going out and somebody trying to take, somebody trying to somehow, they're laying in wait for you to do something, always to take advantage of, or to slay in several senses of the word, for some form of gain. It seems like the whole world has come for gain, and there are many that fight against me. We'll find out. For David's situation, there were many. He wasn't only running from Saul, who was the king of Israel. He was trying to escape all these around. Everybody, the Ziphites, were trying to hunt him down. Everybody was trying to give up his position. Here the Philistines had taken him over. He was constantly trying to escape from those that were hunting him. 4. In the day that I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. But in the day, we'll find out, David said, in that day when I get scared, when I've had all that I can take, I'm going to lean on the God. I'm going to lean over on the Lord. Because, see, we know that the Lord's will is going to come to pass. Whatever God's got planned out, that's what's going to be. There's nothing we can do about it. We're just going to stay in it solid. Make sure it happens. 5. In God, I will praise his word. In God do I trust. I will not be afraid. What can flesh do unto me? In God, in the Almighty, in the everlasting one, in the existing one, in the name, I will praise his word. Because God said, I'm not going to let you down. If you stay in it, if you stay in your integrity, you stay in my understanding, there's life, there's goodness. This is what's going to happen. Have faith and hold on. We'll find out. I'm going to put my trust in that. I'm not going to be afraid. There's nothing to fear. We'll find out. God's always got everything in control. What can flesh do unto me? Seeing they have no power over me, those even of flesh. There's no power. There's no authority granted. 6. All the day they trouble mine affairs. All their thoughts are against me for evil. And all the day, they trouble me in mine affairs. Everything I try to do, anything we try to do, there's always contention. There's always strife. There's always a little trouble in it. We can call it red tape. We can call it whatever we want to call it. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They've planned. And this is the humble servant. This is the humble servant. This is the one who tries to do right. The one who's trying to do the right thing. They've laid traps. They've laid snares. Trying to take up one. And we'll find out so they can control the path. 7. They gather themselves together. They hide themselves. They mark my steps according as they have waited for my soul. They gather themselves together. To plan, to devise ways to hide themselves, ways to be in the way, ways to know where you're going. See, they mark my steps. They plan out my way. They plan out what I'm going to do, and they go there and lay in wait for me too. So that way when I come by the way, they're there to take advantage of, to take from, to rob, steal. That's basically what they do there. There's no truth in them. And we'll find out. We are talking about those that cause strife and contention in the earth. David had pretty much his belly full of them as well. 8. Because of iniquity, cast them out. In anger, bring down the peoples, O God. Because of iniquity cast them out. And well, this takes us back to the beginning. We go back to when Joshua was getting ready to cross the river, and before Moses even lets him go, he says, "Listen now, remember, it's not for your righteousness that I send you, but because of their iniquity, because of their transgression, because of their perversions, which they had done against God." And this is what it's about. It's because of their iniquity, because of their perversions. And we'll find out. We don't have to ask God to cast them out. He done has. And in his anger, bring down the people. We'll find out that God done has. God has his own way of doing these things. And God has a way of closing your eyes where you can't see. God has a way of cutting off you somewhere in your understanding so you may not be able to see the image that's right in front of your face. Bring down the peoples. This word's we're talking about the peoples, all those, the nations, all those is what it is inclusive of those that are in iniquity. Those are of perversion, the wicked of the world. 9, you have counted my wanderings, put you my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? You have counted my wanderings. You know my ways. You know my paths, where they forced me. I've run here and there trying to get away. All my ways were appointed by God. Now put you my tears into your bottle. My tears, my cries, my supplications, my desires, these things that I hope for even, into your bottle, into that vessel, and store it up. Are they not in your book? Are not these? We find them right here. We have the words of the book. They're written. It's recorded. The expectations, the prayers, the desires. We'll find it. It's all for the will of God. It's all for God's will, that his will be done, that peace come. 10. Then shall mine enemies turn back in the day that I call. This I know, that God is for me. Then shall mine enemies turn back in the day that I call. That's how they're turning back. It's because the earnest expectation is in alignment with God's will, God's understanding. See, and when we align ourselves with the knowledge of God, we'll find out God is going to be on our side. God is for me. God's on my side, because I know this. 11. In God, I will praise his word. In the Lord, I will praise his word. In God do I trust. I will not be afraid. What can man do unto me? In God, I will praise it. In his name, in the name of the Lord, the Almighty, the existing one, in the understanding that someday peace will come. See, God has placed that as his will upon the earth. Well, no, sooner or later. See, understanding, knowledge, wisdom is poured back out on the earth. That's the law of God. See, that he give you in the beginning. It's wrote upon your heart. You should recognize it when you hear it. 13. Your vows are upon me, O God. I will render thank offerings unto you. Your vows, these things which God has appointed, these things we take up that do, we say, yes, we will observe. See, this is a vow. This means that this is what we're going to do, and we're going to fulfill it. We're going to accomplish it. We're going to make it happen. See, I will render thank offerings unto you, because it's these things that keep us out of the way, keep us out of harm's way, that deliver us from the wicked when they come. They're laying in wait, but we've got the understanding to know it. We've got the knowledge, the wisdom to know it. We know what the game is. It's no big deal when you know what the game is. It's not really a game. But to them, they see it as a game. And we can play along. We can play along just like we play along with children, because our understanding puts them in that position. 14. For you have delivered my soul from death. You have not delivered my feet from stumbling. that I may walk before God in the light of the living. For you have delivered my soul from death. My soul from death. That means my soul found understanding. My inwardness has found eternity. It's found an everlasting place. It's found a way of life. And we find out in the God said in the beginning, choose life. Choose life. See, so that's the way of life. And that decision between life and death, something that God gives you in the beginning. He didn't give it to another to make it for you. He gave it to you. And he said, now choose life. So it's up to you, see, to make a choice between life and death. Now, in the law, a man shall live, see, but transgression is the way of death. So it's pretty simple when we put it together, if we are observant to God's understanding. That's his law. It's a very simple thing. His Torah, it's for your own good. It's instructions to those that he loves, to keep them, tell them about these that lay in wait. Has not God delivered my feet from stumbling? Has he not appointed these paths to keep me in the way, to tell me this is the way to avoid that? It's really a very simple thing, that I walk before God in the light of the living. Because that is the light of the living. That's the understanding of those that are alive. And that is the Torah, the law. It's a very simple thing to align ourselves with the will of God. We'll find sooner or later we're going to have to, if we want to put an end to the pain, the suffering, the oppression. This is what brings it on. We have to align self with the understanding of God. All right, we're going to move forward though. Psalms 57. Turn and return.